Hey everyone, No Respawns here. Hope you're having a grand week. So this is Manor Lords, a game that dropped fairly recently on PC and has been absolutely devouring my free time, as I'm sure it's been doing for a lot of you. It's one of those games that scratches quite a few itches. It's a kind of medieval city builder, and also it has some kind of Total War light-esque combat, which is really, really fun. So what I wanted to do is, because it's exactly the kind of game I was definitely going to make a video on, is I want to do a kind of early game kind of starter guide, so getting yourself set up, and also some best practices, because there's lots of stuff in this game which is initially very confusing, but also the fact is that there's lots it doesn't tell you, and there's certain things you can learn, and I'm just gonna basically collect them into one video right now. I am gonna be doing it a little bit differently. Initially, I tried to do like the entire first year, and I sort of skipped ahead. That made for the longest ever video. So I'm gonna play this little opening bit to get things set up, and I'm actually then gonna load up a save that is actually after my initial attempt at recording a video, which is July the following year, so you can see how things are developed, and I can kind of give you some more pointers. So let's jump straight into it. So, in terms of starting location, it does feel fairly random. I think, and don't quote me on this, but I think the map is always the same, but the resource nodes are randomized, as is the quality, so you get rich versions, and then you get kind of normal versions. The rich ones obviously have the little crowns on the top, and your starting location, I think, can be any one of these little paths here. So I've started in this area. One thing to note when you go in is try to make sure that you're near a wild animals and a berry deposit. You want them within kind of this level distance. The reason being is food is going to be really easy to get, but food variety is actually a really important aspect to ensure that your approval gets as high as possible, because you want, as you see, it controls overall population growth, and what you don't want to do is to have it kind of middling, because you want to get as many people in as quickly as possible, so that allows you to expand, work more resources, work more plots, etc. You also, every area will have iron, stone, and clay. I wouldn't worry too much about these being so close, because your people can actually run pretty far quite easily, and I even with this save, I've actually already played quite far on this exact save, and I had no issues with these being over here. The other thing as well, and do this whenever you load in, if you open the build menu and have a look at your overlays here, just check where your water is. And now this one there might be some disagreement here. Check that you, thank you for saving. Check you have decent fertility in the various crops. So this is wheat. So Emma is wheat, so that would be where you get your grain and where you'll make your bread. Flax is for linen. That's actually really important, especially if you want to equip your militias with gambesons, which I definitely do. Barley is for brewing, so for making malt and then brewing that into beer. I think there needs to be a bit of a balance, because I feel like you don't get as much as you really should, but for getting the tier 3 houses, you will need that. And rye is a more advanced version of the emmer, of the wheat, so you can grow that in a bit more. I think that can grow in a bit. I think you can plant that in the autumn period, so it'll actually give you all year round, but you do have to actually unlock that. And there's also smell, which is a work in progress, and fire hazard, which isn't implemented as well, but that's going to be terrifying, especially because I do like my charcoal kilns. Now, that is randomized, so some people, I personally think if I'm going to dedicate the time to this, I'm going to keep reloading or re-rolling a new game until I get a fairly solid start. Some people like to just kind of get the start that they're handed, whichever appeals to you. I'm old and have not much free time, so I like to make sure I'm getting as good a start as possible. Now, one thing I highly recommend you do whenever you load in is immediately upgrade your tents to a workers' camp. What that will do is it will freeze your approval at 50%. The reason why that's important is because it won't drop. If you don't upgrade that, it'll probably drop to around 43-45% before you start building houses, because you'll have a recent 30 days homelessness debuff, and that will just slow down your growth. Really, really useful thing to do. Now, how I've decided to do my opening games is I like to kind of get some fields set up quite quickly, and I actually get the fields and the farmhouses set up before I even start building houses, because one, I've got the worker camp, and also two, because getting your first crop so you can at least harvest some of it before the winter period just makes life a lot easier. I said food, to be honest, you could actually quite survive comfortably on wild animals and berries for the first year, but I want food variety. I want my people to be very stuffed. For those who don't know my channel, I do focus on making things efficient, but I also focus on making things look nice as well. So that's going to be something that is important if you are unfamiliar, because I am going to do some things, right? So I am conscious of time. So what I'm going to do... Okay. So I like to do my fields first. So if you want to relocate certain items, there's a little option to relocate here. And you can press that, and it'll allow you to move it around. That's really, really important for things like, well, hitching posts, obviously, but also a lot of the hunting camps and the logging camps. I'm going to move that so it just moves away. Cool. Incidentally, the speed up button is X on the keyboard, which is actually incredibly handy. Now, I mentioned how I like things to be pretty. This is the first example of it. This is technically not the most efficient use of the forward, but it doesn't actually affect things at all. It's hold R, isn't it? Oh, how do I... My brain has completely forgotten how to rotate items. Oh, you hold that down. Lol. The reason why I like to do this is purely because I like a windmill in the middle of my farms, and I know I can get away with using up this forward without feeling like I'm nerfed in any way. So I'm going to put this down here. As I said, technically I won't be using that for ages, but we do like having a windmill. You don't have to. If you don't want the windmill, you can do without it, and then you can use that forward for other things, but it's not, to be honest, currently the actual city management, once you master it, is surprisingly easy. But I like to make things look nice. Right now, I've moved there. I've got a nice little field pattern I like to do. The reason why I'm drawing the roads is because it means I can snap the fields to the end. Oh, that's not going to be fully straight. Can't have that. Gorgeous. That is not going to connect. There we go. Lovely jubbly. Now you don't have to do this part, but I always do just because it means I can quadrant it. Yeah. Now, you may notice actually something to, I didn't highlight, but you see with the roads here, I can kind of like adjust the curvature. Personal preference. I like to do more straight lines because even though that might make you think that it's going to be a little bit less organic looking, just the nature of the game is you're not going to have like, it's not going to look like a, pre-planned North American city or something like that. It's still going to look very shapely and European, shall we say, even with the straight roads. It just kind of gives you a little bit more control. So one thing you may notice is when I build the fields, the trees disappear. That is helpful if you want to just quickly clear an area, which I will be doing. It also, you see that? The efficiency of that is going up. So the windmills need an open area. Obviously, so it's not interrupted, kind of blocked by the trees. So this means that efficiency is going to be probably around nearly 100%. Now, I always build 3 different kind of crops. So I do wheat. I'll do a wheat there, and I'm going to turn this one into a flax field, just because that would be more than enough, and also I can get a little bit of linen for there, because I do like to get my Gambenson production up. Sap. Right. Now, next. And again, this is how I start off. This just gives me a kind of quite strong opening to the game. I build a logging camp first. I am going to build a farm, but I need to get the logging camp first. I'm also going to prioritize you. That is a very important thing to do if you want to, for example, I don't really care about this windmill being built yet, so I'm going to make sure the logging camp's done. Oh, actually, pop that. You have like 30 days for that to go up, but you want to kind of make sure that... Get that built straight away, so then they'll not have to worry about... How many time there goes? There we go. Bear in mind that oxen does have to manually drag everything around. There we go, so that will just cap that at 50% now. You won't get the homelessness debuff, even though if it says there. Right. So you're going to get a few messages. Ignore. Ghosted. Left on red. Right, cool. So, now I need to get 3 timber for the farm. So I'm just going to quickly just pop 3 people into that really quickly. In the second the timber goes up, I'm going to switch it back down to... Actually, I'll probably leave 3 on there just for a little bit because there's no harm in it. As I said, I'm going to do this opening bit, and then I'm going to jump quite heavily forward, because you don't need to see every single step. And also, with a more complete village, I can actually show you, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing this. There's lots of little things, especially surrounding vegetable plots and pausing artisans. Cool, there we go. Bosh. Brilliant. So we're going to... there it is. Farmhouse. You can also turn off snap to roads, by the way. All that does is it means you can manually place them. I'm kind of mixed, but for now, for the sake of efficiency, I'm going to put that there. I always like it next to my hitching post, because you can upgrade that. Just because I don't need... Oh, incidentally, if you didn't know, you always want to make sure you have at least one unassigned family for building and also for transporting the ox around. If you assign everyone to something, then they won't build anything. So just an FYI. That's why it's very important to get as many families available as possible, because once you start getting artisans, you're just going to start running. You'll always need to have someone unassigned unless you don't want to build anything. Alright. Gorgeous. Right, so the reason why I left the 3 guys in there is now already I have 11 timber. I can just drop that down to 1. Drop that down to 3. Now... with your fields, they probably won't even finish planting these. Actually, one thing we can really do. Let's maximize that one, so the focus on the wheat, because it's the most important thing. You will not have this fully grown by the time the harvesting season comes. You can force it. So what I do is I click early harvest when September hits. Do not forget to untick it before they start planting, otherwise they will just harvest it in like June. But it means that you're still going to get way more enough bread than you need. And also I never use crop rotation ever, just because I like preferring to be more manual. Right, okay, so while they're doing that, next I like to, and this will be 4 in a minute, we'll be jumping ahead quite a lot, but I'm gonna just build a big farm. Why am I building a farm? Because I want to clear that area out. You don't lose, as of right now, you don't ever lose resources when you demolish a building. You always get everything back, so don't worry about that at all. Right. Now, a couple of things on the plots. Always mindful of time. I think this should be a reasonable video. Okie dokie. So, the plots, which are called burgages, burgage plots. They're called flexible plots. They work similar to farms. Now, for certain backyard extensions, you'll want a certain kind of plot versus... for example, so for what I'm going to show you, for the vegetable plots, I want them as large and as wide as possible. But for the artisans, I can keep them a little bit more constrained. So, I'm going to drag it up like that. You see with the arrow, so that'll be the direction of the house. Drag it to about here. I'm going to do it there. Oh, actually, one of my slight obsessive things we're going to do, because I don't want my house at the start to be all... There we go. Just because that'll mildly annoy me. I use roads a lot to actually get things... Oh, that's annoying. Don't do that. Don't be that guy. There. Do it that way. One thing I hate, even though you turn off snap to roads, is you'll see these little dots and these plot areas. You will sometimes have it where it will just slightly snap to a weird one, but that's fine. Okay, so you may notice, as you can see, I don't have 16 wood, timber rather. If I click the little reduce plot divisions, and I'm actually going to reduce this to 3. That's going to be a really good size, and I'm going to be able to get a really large vegetable plot at the back there. So let me just show you what all these icons mean. So this one right here is for a second house. So basically what you can do is you can build one house there, and then you can upgrade it so it's 2 houses at the same plot. It'll be a slightly smaller one. This means that these 3 plots here can actually, eventually, once I've upgraded them, house 3 people. This little symbol here means that you can build a backyard extension. This is where you're going to get a lot of your crafting. And backyard extensions are a huge part of the game. So anything from chickens to vegetable plots, which we'll be building, to specialist artisans such as blacksmiths and tailors. So go ahead and build that. And then we're going to accelerate up. Might even reduce that down to 1, so I have a few people building. Now, you may notice difficulty, I believe, might change this a little bit, actually. But I have regional wealth 50. That is actually perfect for these 3 plots. So we're going to quickly build them. While they're doing that, I'm going to talk about something else. So you will have a brigand near you somewhere. This little tent here. Now, a key element of the game is defeating these guys. And you will also be battling with Matey Boy here, commonly referred to as... I don't know if his name's randomized, actually, but Hildebolt von Beru... I can't pronounce that. Matey Boy is his official name. And his name might randomize anyway. And basically, he's going to almost try and race you for these after a while. He doesn't start appearing for a bit. You want to take these as soon as possible because it's a great way to earn a lot of money. Because once you kill the bandits, you actually get to raid their camp, and you'll either get 200 regional wealth, or I think it's just under about 130 treasury, which you can then use to hire mercenaries. Also, the brigands aren't very difficult to defeat, and I will show you. Okie dokie. So, Burgage plot. So, if I want to expand living space, I click that. I'm not going to do that just yet because I don't need to. And if I want to construct a backyard extension, which I'm definitely going to do, and we're going to do the vegetable garden. You do have chickens. Goat sheds are actually... I do get both of these eventually on some of my smaller ones. These ones doesn't matter how big the backyard area is. Currently, as of now, the vegetable garden is awesome. Possibly even a little bit overpowered. It's the best investment, and you can comfortably build 3 of them. Right. Okie dokie. So, don't panic too much about food right at the start, because you've got 2 full months, and 2 full months is a really long time. You start off with 3 months worth. So I'm actually going to build a forager hut. Now, the reason I'm building a forager hut and not the hunting camp yet is the berries are seasonal, which means I can just grab them as much and then they will stop producing during the winter, whereas that is all year round. So I'm going to grab that, and in a minute I'm going to assign a person in. Now, one of them will build that, and one of them will build that, so it'll be grand. Another one, actually, I probably want to build as well. I'd recommend building this one quite quickly, is actually a woodcutter's hut. Once people start moving into these houses, they're going to start consuming fuel really fast. You have 14 months. You don't actually have 14 months. It's going to go down really quickly. Also, because it's easy to forget, don't forget to build a well too. You'll have it where you're like, why is my approval not going up? And that's because they don't have access to water. I'm not going to actually man that yet, but having that built before these houses are built is kind of essential. So I'm going to pop one person in there. These guys are happily... To be honest, I could even actually pop someone out there for a bit, because I'm not going to need all that timber. Well, quite a bit. And I'm going to pop those in. Right. So I'm nearly out of the first section of the video. I'm just going to quickly build these up. Thank you. So now that's ready, so I can quickly just shove someone in it when I get the notification about the fuel being quite low. Now, in a minute, these houses will be done, and as they're built, I'm going to upgrade them with the vegetable plots. A big thing to note about the vegetable plots is you probably won't get many vegetables in the first year. But as of right now, when the thaw happens in January and February, March-ish rather, you will actually be able to harvest these straight away, so you'll get a big boost of food right at the start of the year. That'll probably change. I imagine they'll make it so the crops die out eventually. It doesn't really matter, because food isn't an issue. It just means that in year 2, you're going to get so much food from these. They're awesome. Another reason why upgrading this to the worker camp is important is because it's very likely you'll get a person move in while you're actually building these. So it means you can get a little bit of early pop straight away. Right, so... Cool, alright, so I should cautiously say I should get this under 30 minutes. Famous last words. Should be pretty good. This is probably the most important period to really maximize your building and kind of give you a nice solid start. And you're fairly safe at this point. Brilliant. Gorgeous. Right, so I don't upgrade the houses yet. Next, I'm going to do the second set. I'm not actually going to watch them build, don't worry. Don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. I hate when it does that. Rude. You don't have to be as obsessive as I am about getting them straight, but... yeah, about like that. Gorgeous. So I already have all the wood timber I need. Now, I do want to demolish this quickly the second I have houses available. The reason why I want to do that is because that caps my approval at 50. So until it starts going over 50, I won't really get reliable numbers of migration. So that's just something to bear in mind. However, you can get a situation where as you're building these, people start moving in. And then you have to kind of hold off upgrading it. Right, so I'm going to change this one. And this is just a design I like to do with my initial houses. I turn this one to 4. Arguably, that's probably a bit too big. I could probably do 5, but I'm going to do 4 for the sake of it. I think I made these quite wide, actually. I'm going to do 4. Now, just, and I'll show you when I get to the next section, is I turn these into my 4 artisans, which I use to build equipment for my militia. So I have armorer, blacksmith, joiner who does the shields, and the tailor who does my gabardines. I'm going to build these, and once those are built, or once I have enough housing for everyone, I'm going to demolish that, and then people will move in, and the approval will start going up. You may notice that I haven't actually built any storage yet. I will build these and then I build the storage afterwards. I'm going to sort of map it out. Actually, I won't. I'll just show you. But then I build the storage here or wherever obviously a different map. Once you've built a storehouse, you will actually get a load of weapons, or depending on the difficulty, I believe, get a load of weapons and shields sent to you, and then you can actually recruit militia, which is very important because you'll be able to have around 14 to 18 dudes, and it should be quite easy for you then to run over and take this camp really, really quickly, which incidentally, I've just realised he's got it as lowercase bandit camp. That's very bad. Naughty. Anywho, so what I'm going to do now, I'm actually going to load my save from the following year, and then we can see what this area looks like when it's developed, and then I can kind of explain a few more advanced areas that's easy to forget and also make your life really more stress-free. All right, so this is March in year 2, so this is right at the start of the spring, so this is effectively a year on from where we were, and this is how my settlement has developed. I've added a load of new houses here, as you can see, and I haven't actually expanded the field. Now, this is in a really, really good position. So I've already started, so I've got 8 vegetables already, right? And you may notice how I mentioned that as of right now, and I think they might tweak it a little bit, is that the vegetables I planted hadn't actually been harvested very much, which means I'm actually going to get a lot of vegetables. I know I do, because I've actually played on from this point a little bit. I'm going to get a lot of vegetables, to the point where these vegetable plots will probably comfortably provide me about 1/3 of my food alongside that. And then I've also got the berries over here. And as you can see right there, so markets, food variety, also the clothing supply and church level. So I'm getting quite a lot of bonuses from my approval, which will mean that my growth is really strong. So I'm already, in the first year, I got 14 families. I have space for 20, and I haven't actually fully upgraded these yet. So once I've upgraded these houses, I'll have a space for around, 26? So it's pretty cool. Now, right, couple of really important things. I mentioned how I want to turn these into specifically artisan huts. So I said, this is just my personal preference setup. Vegetable plots here, my main artisans who are actually supporting my militia development. Now, a really important thing, whenever you build an artisan, once they finish building the back end, I can actually probably, do I have enough? Perfect. And also, it's one of the most annoying ones. I'm going to build a joiner's workshop here. And this guy's a pain in the ass. I'm going to unassign someone. Everyone's been assigned to some way. I'm going to take you off just because it's demonstrating. And also, do I have another thing I can demonstrate? Okay, I'm probably going to get a bandit camp up here in a sec, so I can then demonstrate something else. So I'm going to quickly build this joiner's workshop. Ah, you sexy beast, you. Right. While I'm doing that, I'm going to show you one thing. So I've got a bandit camp here. Oh, sensational. It's not too far away. Wow, it's actually miles away. So you may notice also that I have quite a lot of regional wealth, and I have quite a lot of treasury as well. So these bandit camps are laughably easy to take out. And one of the key ways to stop his growth is by grabbing them before he has a chance to get them. Oh, my boys are over here. Oh, sensational. Oh, yeah, brilliant. So there was actually already a bandit camp here I must have just saved after I grabbed it. And it's cool because I can just actually scuttle over and grab this one. It's also helpful because I can show you combat. Because I think a lot of players are quite intimidated by the combat in this game and think, oh, it's going to be really difficult. It's not. It's actually quite simple. So I'm going to send my boys over here. I'm going to put them on stand your ground. These guys should charge towards me, so I'm going to go here. My boys are going to walk over there. Also, make sure that run is not on. They're not actually running, see there. They're actually walking at a nice casual pace, because that'll stop their fatigue from... Well, fatigue to increase. Technically, I should call it your stamina going down. Now, normally, as you can see, he's actually got units running towards that bandit camp, and he's going to have mercenaries, usually around 2 to 3 units of mercenaries. They're not going to attack you, but they will try and get to the bandit camp before you. It's quite easy to snipe them. If they were a little bit ahead, what I've actually would have done is waited a little bit, let the bandits charge towards him, and then I would have just gone through and just claimed the camp while he was fighting the guys. I have more than enough time to deal with these guys. Okay. So they're going to attack me. Oh, just because it will have finished building. And I had a whole point to mention. Right, okay. Joiner shop is built, which is grand, and thankfully it hasn't started doing what I was worried it was going to do. Whenever you build an artisan, and I'll show you again just from this menu here, whichever ones you're going to be grabbing, always pause the game. Go to general and change it to what you need. Because I have spear militia and I want to build more large shields, I need to select large shields. It's easy to forget, and then suddenly you've wasted 10, 14 planks building small shields that you don't need, or, you know, wooden parts or whatever it is. And also a thing, keep an eye on your stocks. You'll be able to see from there, or when you've got the unit and they're not deployed. I can see... Can't see now, which is annoying, but actually I'll just do it to demonstrate. You'll be able to actually see how many shields they have available. Once you've got enough of the equipment you need, this is wrong button, very important, you can pause the building. It won't kick the person out, they'll still exist, they'll still be there, you know, just do whatever they do, but they won't be chewing out your resources. That is very important, especially for the joiners workshop, to be honest, because it will just absolutely just wreck all of your planks, and you don't want that to happen because it's very, very annoying. So I'm actually going to unpause him, and I'm going to let him produce large shields because I need quite a few of them. And then I'm going to do this combat over here. I think a lot of people miss the pausing. I missed it for quite a while, and it is just, oh, it's a life set. It's a godsend. So as you see, I've got stand your ground. I love militia. Spear militia with gambesons, and I always like to give them helmets as well, and all of their equipment. Honestly, they're quite beastly. So these guys are going to attack me. I've got all the time in the world to defeat them before those guys get over here. So I usually follow the same tactic one-on-one. This isn't going to be a big tactics video, so there's obviously like more advanced tactics you can do. So I'm going to stand your ground, which will increase my defense because they're going to have an initial attack bonus on the charge. Let them get into a fight first. And then we're going to push forward. And I might lose a guy. Usually I don't lose someone. Oh, lovely jubbly. And look, loads of time. And where's the camp gun? There it is. Ooh.
Pick up the pace.
Now I am going to make them run. Ooh. I'll grab that. In you go, boys.
Yes, sir. Run.
Get in there. There we go, and you'll get a message. You'll get the option to send the resources to the nearest town, which will give you around 200 wealth to regional wealth, or send to your treasury. I basically mostly send to my treasury. The reason being is I can hire mercenaries, which will be important for when you want to fight off him actually claiming regions. And also, you don't need that many resources. Once you get like a few hundred, you basically have all you need. So I'm sent to my treasury. I also got very, very lucky. So now I've got that, he's going to give up and scootle off. I'm going to send my boys back to here so I can disband them.
Yes, sire.
And that was it on the combat and the artisans. One thing to note in the year, and I actually made a mistake here, so it's really helpful. What I do at the end of each year is, for the first year, is I force early harvest in September. And usually they'll have, like, around 50%. So you'll get, as you can see, I kind of made quite a lot of bread. Don't forget to untick that. Because otherwise they will get to around, I think, July and immediately start harvesting it when it's only, like, a bit grown. Maybe there's an argument to be made of, like, you know, leaving it on, but I don't like that. A couple other tips as well. So these will produce a lot of food. Like, vegetables are amazing. You don't have to. One thing to note with the units, and I can helpful better. I'll have to show it from here. So basically, units will have weapons they need. Actually, no, I'm just going to demonstrate it with a random one. I think I can. There we go. Perfect. So there we go. So if I got my hands on these, so at the top there you'll have the stuff that you need. So I have 9 guys, I have 0 available spears, I need 36, and I have 1 shield. I actually just keep this open while I'm producing shields and all my equipment. Underneath that is optional equipment, so gambesons, helmets, and chainmail if you get them to a higher tier. You don't need the helmets or the gambesons. I personally like them because they're just really easy to build, and once I've got it, then I have a fairly elite little group of militia to kind of murder things, and they are very, very good at it. Also to note, people won't equip gambesons until they're at a higher tier, and it actually shows you in this window. So all the stuff in red is the stuff they can equip. So that means if I build chainmail, my level 2 house will not be able to equip the chainmail because they're not wealthy enough to have chainmail. So if I want people in chainmail, I need them to be level 3 houses. And I think that's kind of it. Oh yeah, a couple of things as well. The marketplace, oh that's loud. The marketplace, the position of it doesn't necessarily matter. It has effectively unlimited range, but the houses closest to it will get the resources first, and it will sort of backfill. So try and keep it quite central, and try and keep it well stocked. Speaking of that, you want to make sure that you always have your granary equipped with at least 1 person running it all the time, because they're the person that's going to build a food stall, as you can see. And that is very important, because that way your people can actually have access to food. And then a final thing that I can think of, this is a charcoal kiln. It is here, so each of your villagers are going to have like this kind of skill tree, and I believe it's unique to each village. I always go to the charcoal kiln first, so the charcoal burning, just because fuel is a really, really important thing, and I found that one woodcutter's lodge, even if it's filled from multiple people, just doesn't give you enough fuel to satisfy your villagers' needs. Whereas if you have a charcoal kiln, as you can say, build them right next to each other, the charcoal kiln just absolutely, like, I never have to worry about fuel, especially when I need to start refueling actual production areas. So yes, that is basically what I hope is a fairly concise and abridged guide, as much as I could make it. This game is awesome. It is in early access, so there are going to be lots of changes, balance especially. Currently, archers are useless, so don't bother building them unless they're mercenaries, in which case I use them just to literally just tie up units while I charge them in the back with spearmen or whatever other melee units I have. There's loads more to do. I haven't even touched on the actual manors itself. One thing I would note is retainers are not as tough as you think, so maybe use them to sort of outflank rather than rely on your spearmen with your shields. Basically, they have much more survivability. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. If you have any tips yourself, please leave them in the comments. I'm always looking out to learn new bits. And yes, hope you pick up the game and hope you enjoy it. You take care.